Hebrews. Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our Sunday Advanced Bible Study, the 5th of March of April 2026. Okay, we'll be reading out of the book of Isaiah. We'll be reading chapters 26 through 30. We're going to read each chapter and break it down like we normally do on Sundays. Okay, go to our YouTube channel, The Prophets of Awakening. Check out our videos. We have over 1,000 or so videos that you can look at, examine, get the meat out. These videos will lead you to the truth of the Holy Scriptures. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It'll be greatly appreciated. We have our Cash App at the bottom of the screen for those that want to support the channel and help it move along. That too will be greatly appreciated. Okay? So with that being said, for those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by our Savior and our Redeemer, the Lord of Hosts. Okay? This channel was created to aid and assist our Hebrews who are waking up to their true identity and understanding who their Savior and their Redeemer truly is. Shalom and welcome to this channel. Welcome to our Sunday Advanced Bible Study. Okay? We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, a prayer, Psalms. We have some current events, some need-to-know information. We'll open it up for anybody with questions and comments, any dialogue or testimonies. Then our topic for discussion is I'll be playing a breakdown of The Handmaid's Tale, okay? And what's how it's predicting a lot of things that seem to be unfolding right now, okay? Then our scripture reading, like I said, we'll be reading out of the book of Isaiah. We had chapters 26 through 30. Going to read them and break it down. After that, we'll pick a scripture like we normally do. And we'll read that scripture and then we'll break it down. And I had mentioned in the morning Sabbath class yesterday, I wanted to present those other verses that was dealing with Isaiah 52, verses 13 through 15, to identify who the suffering servant was. So I'm gonna read those scriptures before I close out. Okay. So with that, this moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts, and all that He's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in His last days. Oh Lord, we thank You for Your great mercy, Your great power, and Your wisdom. We tarry waiting for Your powerful deliverance of Your people Israel. Oh Lord, You have given us insight into the scriptures of our forefathers, and You, oh Lord, have directed us to who You are and Your role in the goings on of heaven and earth. Okay. Oh Lord, You spoke through Your prophet Isaiah and said that You would help Abraham's seed, that You have scattered. You have completed that promise as of this day. And You said, oh Lord, that You would remove the darkness from around us. Tarry not, oh Lord. The latter days are here, and we are waiting and watching for You. Peace be unto You. Okay. I'll read the Psalms right quick. Okay, I'll read Psalm 29. It says, the voice of the Lord in the storm. Give unto the Lord, O ye mighty. Give unto the Lord glory and spite and strength. Give unto the Lord the glory due unto His name. Worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness. The voice of the Lord is upon the waters. The God of glory thundereth. The Lord is upon many waters. The voice of the Lord is powerful. The voice of the Lord is full of majesty. The voice of the Lord breaketh the cedars. Yea, the Lord breaketh the cedars of Lebanon. He maketh them also to skip like a calf. Lebanon and Syria like a young unicorn. The voice of the Lord divideth the flames of fire. The voice of the Lord shaketh the wilderness. The Lord shaketh the wilderness of Kadesh. The voice of the Lord maketh the hands of calves, and to discover the forest. And in His temple doeth everyone speak of His glory. The Lord sitteth upon the flood. Yea, the Lord sitteth king forever. The Lord will give strength unto His people. The Lord will bless his people with peace. So, like I said before, this is it actually helps you if you understand who the Lord of hosts is. Because when you go back in the beginning, right here in Genesis chapter 1, you can see, and I talked about this over and over again, that you got the creator, and then in order for him to deal with his creation, he formed these 7 angels. And the first one he formed was Michael. And Michael is unlike any other angel. He's like the Most High. That's what his name means. He was like the Most High. So it says, we see in verse 1, in the beginning, Yahweh created the heavens and the earth. And then verse 2, and the earth was without form and void. Darkness was upon the face of the deep. And then the Spirit of God, that's an angel, that's Michael. The Spirit of God moved upon the waters. And then you say, well, what are you talking about? Well, when you read this psalm right here, 29, the first couple of verses, pretty much all the way through, but the first few verses says, give unto the Lord of hosts, O ye mighty, it's the other angels, give unto the Lord glory and strength. Give unto the Lord the glory due to his name, Michael. Worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness. The voice of the Lord, so you say, who is this? The voice of the Lord is upon many waters. The God of the glory, the God of glory thundereth. The Lord is upon many waters. The voice of the Lord is powerful. The voice of the Lord is full of majesty. Right? Verse 5. The voice of the Lord breaketh the cedars. Yea, the Lord breaketh the cedars of Lebanon. So if you go to verse 4, it says, the voice of the Lord is powerful. The voice of the Lord is full of majesty. So give you a precept on that. Okay. Go to Daniel chapter 10. Okay. Here we go. It says, okay, verse 10, chapter 10, starting of Daniel chapter 10, starting verse 1. In the 3rd year of Cyrus, king of Persia, a thing was revealed unto Daniel, whose name was called Belteshazzar, and the thing was true, but the time appointed was long, and he understood the thing, and he had understanding of the vision. In those days, I, Daniel, was mourning 3 full weeks. I ate no pleasant bread, neither flesh nor wine in my mouth, neither did I anoint myself at all, till 3 whole weeks were fulfilled. And in the 4th and 20th day of the 1st month, as I was by the side of the great river, which is Hiddekel, I lifted up mine eyes, and I looked, and behold, a certain man, clothed in linen, whose loins were girded about with fine gold of Upas. Right? Verse 6, his body also like beryl, and his face as the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as lamps of fire, and his arms and his feet like the color of polished brass. Then here you go. And the voice of his words was like the voice of a multitude. So that's what he's talking about in Psalm 29 and 4. The voice of the Lord is powerful. The voice of the Lord is full of majesty. That's right here. And like I said, you want to rightly divide that, Daniel goes out of his way to explain who this is, right? And he's got on a golden girdle around his waist. He got linen on. He had flesh on him, and he got fire in his eyes because he was made from fire. It's not Yahweh. But if you haven't did your research, or you wouldn't understand that that's not Yahweh. That's Michael. So let me show you Yahweh right quick. Okay. So you go to Ezekiel right quick. Okay. Yeah. Chapter 1, Ezekiel, on that verse. Okay, Ezekiel chapter 1, on verse 25. And there was a voice go up, verse 23. Under the firmament were their wings straight, the one toward the other. Everyone had two wings covering on this side, and everyone had two wings covering on that side. Their bodies, their bodies. And when they went, I heard, okay, say when they went. I heard the noise of the wings, like the noise of great waters, as the voice of the Almighty, the voice of the speech, as the noise of a host. And when they stood, they let down their wings. And there was a voice from the firmament that was over their heads when they stood and had let down their wings. And a voice of the firmament that was over their heads was the likeness of a throne, as the appearance of a sapphire stone. And upon the likeness of the throne was the likeness and appearance of a man. So check this out. This is the Creator right here. He's likeness and appearance of a man over above it. But check it out. 27. I saw as the color of amber, as the appearance of fire round about within it, from the appearance of his loins, from his middle parts, upward, and from the appearance of his loins, even downward, I saw as it were the appearance of fire. This man ain't got no golden girdle on. His existence, when you look at him, is pure fire. What the man Daniel dealing with, he got fire in his eyes because he created from fire, but he looks like a man. He got flesh on his body. This being right here have no flesh because he's pure fire. That's who he is, creator. And so, just give you a better example of what's going on. You got to go to verse 4. Daniel, Ezekiel explains. I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, a fire enfolding itself. See that? A fire enfolding itself. Brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof, as the color of amber, and out of the midst thereof fire. So this reason why he see all this fire coming and flickering out of the smoke, out of this cloud, is because Yahweh in there. He's pure fire. And not only that, in verse 5, also out of the midst thereof was a likeness of 4 living creatures. And this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man. See that? That's 4 of the 7 angels he created in the cloud with him. But he himself don't have no garment on. He don't have no flesh on him. He's shaped like a man, but he's pure fire. Okay? That's how you rightly divide it. Anybody got anything on that? Okay. So with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and go to our current events. Okay. I don't know if anybody heard about this, but I thought it was it would be informative. They had over the last couple of months, I guess it is, they had an incident with this NBA player. He was injured, but he was doing his rehab and all that. And in the process of that time, he got converted to Christianity. He came closer. I don't know if he was raised in Christianity, but he came closer to Christianity. And so he started proclaiming his faith. Okay? Check it out. This is what happened.
Looks like the NFL isn't alone in facing massive backlash. The NBA just made one of the biggest mistakes in professional sports this year, and it's not a bad trade. It's not a blown call. The Chicago Bulls waived Jaden Ivey, a former top 5 draft pick, a guy who was showing up to the gym, rehabbing his knee, doing everything asked of him. And the reason they gave was, quote, conduct detrimental to the team. What was that conduct? He talked about Jesus Christ. He called out the NBA's Pride Month celebrations as unrighteous. And for that, a 24-year-old man lost his job. But here's what the NBA didn't count on. They thought they could make an example out of him. Instead, they started a movement because athletes across professional sports, from the NFL to the NBA, now standing up, posting scripture, refusing to be silent. Now, the league is scrambling. Now, let's start with what Jaden Ivey actually said, because the media is working overtime to frame it as a rant. or a meltdown. Ivey posted a series of clips on Instagram where he laid out his Christian faith. He talked about what his life was like before he found Jesus. He said, "Before I came to the Lord Jesus Christ, the NBA was everything to me. I didn't know God. I didn't know Jesus when I came to the NBA. I was a fornicator. I was a pornography addict. And I used to get drunk. That's all I knew." That's a testimony. The man's being honest about where he's been and who pulled him out of it. In any church in America, that testimony would get a standing ovation. In the NBA, it got him fired. Then Ivey asked a question that apparently nobody in the league's front offices wanted him to talk about. He said, quote, "The world can proclaim LGBTQ, right? They proclaim Pride Month in the NBA. They proclaim it. They show it to the world. They say, come join us for Pride Month to celebrate unrighteousness. They proclaim it on the billboards. They proclaim it on the streets. So how is it that one can't speak righteousness? Who are they to say that this man is crazy?" And that's the question he's asking, as the league will run Pride Nights on about 21 out of their 30 arenas. They put it on the billboards, the merchandise, and the broadcast. But the moment one player stands up and says, "Well, I believe in the Bible," they call it conduct detrimental to the team. Now, here's where the story gets even more revealing. Bulls head coach Billy Donovan went in front of the cameras and tried to explain this. He even admitted that Ivey was showing up every day, rehabbing his knee, doing his job. He admitted the team wanted him for the long run. He even acknowledged Ivey was very religious and vocal about his faith in the locker room. And then he said the organization has, quote, certain standards, and people from, quote, all different walks of life. So being an devout Christian who talks about Jesus in the locker room violates the standards of a professional basketball team. But when a Bulls player in the past got arrested for a DUI, drug possession, public urination, resisting arrest, those guys got suspensions, not waivers. Sean Davis from the Federalist laid that out. He said, quote, "Christianity is apparently where the Chicago Bulls draw the line." And that's why what happens next matters so much, because the NBA expected silence. They expected every other player to look at Jaden Ivey and think, well, I better keep my mouth shut, make an example out of one, and the rest fall in line. But that's not what happened. That's not what's happening now. Within hours, New England Patriots running back Travion Henderson, a Super Bowl player, posted a Bible verse, writing, "Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." He posted it directly in response to the Ivey story, getting 6.2 million views. Not a whisper, but a roar. And then it's
Okay. Anybody got any comments on that? What you think? Anybody heard anything about it?
Shalom, brother Leonard. Shalom, everybody. I had seen something about this. Yeah, Jaden Ivey. I think is his name. Yeah, that is his name, Jaden Ivey. But it's interesting, brother Leonard. I don't know why you say Esau at work, but when I was thinking about it, you know, he got in trouble so-called for speaking about Christianity, and
Right.
you know, Christianity ain't the truth. You know, and then so they'll make it look like, oh well, if you speak about JC, that must be the truth, since this guy got in trouble for it. Is one thing I was thinking, but he also called out, you know, the LGBT, and he called out Steph Curry.
Exactly.
So, you know, them is all two things you can't touch.
Right, exactly. But when you understand what's happening, prophecy is in effect. We can see that Christianity being exposed, and then all the churches, like I played a video a couple of weeks ago, maybe about a month ago, how all the churches is closing down. So this Esau back doing it, trying to revive it. The same way how we was talking the other day about how the come to find out that the people that they're saying is Gog and Magog, the guy broke it down, and it happened to be Ethiopia is one of the people, and Turkey. And so look what they're doing with the Ethiopian Bible. Come on, they're trying to revive. They already see that we already know that the white man they got stuck up there, it ain't none of him. So they backdoor it. They come in with it because Ethiopians are black, and then the Bible they got all these black angels, and so they trying to backdoor it to keep it alive by saying that, you know, the Ethiopian Bible. And then you got people that they at the point where they was getting ready to throw the whole thing away, But here they come with this Ethiopian thing, and black Jesus is another way to hold them up, to keep them from just all together throwing away what we see in the New Testament. And so you have to understand that the only way you're gonna get to the truth is you gotta denounce it. If you still holding on to some remnants of it, like with the Ethiopian Bible and JC, you still in the same hole. And that's what they're doing, like right here. Look at it, and the influence that these athletes got, and their popularity. Now they all coming out hollering about Jesus. But ain't no, that's Esau at his finest. Come on. All this time, you ain't never had this kind of, you ain't never had no problem like this all this time in the NBA in sports. All of a sudden now, it's a problem with Christianity and with, come on, man. Go ahead.
Shalom, everyone. Shalom, brother. I can remember back when Tim Tebow used to kneel down and do his prayer like deal when he was, popular at the time. They didn't call him out. So they're calling him out now, calling this young man out about it. I also understand that, they're using the JC, and they have been using that. No one has said in the public or on, in the public, the Most High, the Lord of Hosts. They're not proclaiming that to, recognize the Lord of Hosts by saying it. I haven't heard anyone other than us on this channel claim the Most High, the Lord of Hosts, but I've heard them saying Christians, and JC or Lord. But yeah. So, far as them calling him out, and as far as Esau doing the trickery, but I know that in the book, Magog and Gog was representing. I think it was with iron and brass. When we said that China and Russia, and so China and Russia is over in Asia, which is some part of Africa, I guess. We don't know how they separated it for as far as the continents go, but yeah, being that Ethiopia is in Africa and Russia and China is still in Asia. So I was just wondering if this can be something about when we were speaking on Magog and Gog being China and Russia. Is that something different, or they have included it with
the truth just coming out? It's just the truth coming out. The more and more closer we get to the end, we're starting to see what they're doing. As a matter of fact, I got some information here I'm going to uncover that the closer you get, the more they unfold. The more what they're doing, they're unfolding. They're not bringing it all out at once, but the closer we get, just like with the election, they lied about the Project 2025, but as soon as the election they won, we saw what happened. It was they had Project 2025 all the whole time. We're in the midst of it right now. But right here, go my next video right here.
That has been constructed, where these companies and the people running these companies get to make decisions that affect billions of people's lives around the world, and those billions of people do not get any say in how it goes. The industry is designed in a way that is extremely inhumane.
Guys, Karen Howe, one of the top AI researchers, dropped a pretty eye-opening interview on AI and its dangers. During the interview, Karen warned that we should stop believing the tech companies that the AI they're making would stay aligned with humans. She said they're intentionally allowing AI to rewrite its own code to achieve AGI, and this could become an existential threat to humanity. It could lead us to a major catastrophe in the coming years. Guys, I believe the main issue right now is the complete loss of control of the government over these tech companies. Big tech is constantly training AI to replace humans from their jobs, and I believe the biggest threat we're going to face in the next couple of years is mass unemployment. Because once mass unemployment begins,
it would lead to civil war and all sorts of chaos. If a huge fraction of the population has nothing to lose and nothing to gain, it'll be a collapse of society. Now I'm going to play some clips from this interview. I'll give my opinion as we go. In the first part, Karen explains why AI companies are blindly running the race of AI. Let's watch.
So why are they doing it? I mean, you've interviewed all these people. I think it's, what, 300 people in total? 80 or 90 of them from OpenAI, the maker of ChatGPT. Why do you think they're doing it?
I think it's because they're driven by an imperial agenda. And that is why I call these companies empires of AI.
What do you mean by an imperial agenda? What does that term mean?
Empire is the only metaphor that I've ever found to fully encapsulate all of the dimensions of what these companies do and the scale that they operate and what motivates them to do what they do. And there are many parallels that you see between what I call the empires of AI and the empires of old. They lay claim to resources that are not their own in the pursuit of training these models. That's the data of individuals, the intellectual property of artists, writers, and creators. They're land grabbing in order to build these supercomputer facilities for training the next generation models. Second, they exploit an extraordinary amount of labor. They contract hundreds of thousands of workers all around the world, including in the US, to ultimately make these technologies. We can talk about that more. And they also design their tools to be labor automating so that when the technologies are deployed, it also affects labor rights because it erodes away labor rights. And this is a political choice that they have. Third, they monopolize knowledge production. So they project this idea that they're the only ones that really understand how the technology works. And so if the public doesn't like it, it's because they don't actually know enough about this technology. They do this to the public, they do this to policymakers, and they've also captured the majority of the scientists that are working on understanding the limitations and capabilities of AI. Like, they need that part of the myth in order to then say, and that's why we need to be in control of the technology, because that's the only way that it's going to go really, really well. And Altman has said publicly, you know, the worst case, lights out for everyone. But best case, we cure cancer, we solve climate change, and there's abundance. And Dario Amodei, same kind of rhetoric. It's like, worst case, catastrophic or existential harm for humanity. Best case, mass human flourishing. So this is like two sides of the same coin. Like, they have to use both of these narratives in order to continue justifying an extremely anti-democratic approach to AI development, where there should not be broad participation in developing this technology. Almost all of them, not every one of them, but almost all of them end up working at OpenAI.
And leaving.
Almost all of them end up leaving, specifically after they clash with Altman.
And Ilya, he left and launched a company called Safe Superintelligence.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's an indirect if I've ever heard one. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? If someone like co-founded this podcast with me and then they left and started a podcast called Safe Podcasting, I'd take that as a slight. I'd have people knocking on their door.
Messiah that comes and saves the planet. So he steps into the role of the Messiah and leans into this idea in order to better control the people and rally them behind him as a leader to help with this quest. He knows that it's a myth in the beginning, but because he lives and breathes and embodies it, it kind of starts to blur in his mind whether this is really a myth or whether he's really the Messiah. And this is what I think happens in the AI world. On one hand, there are all these executives that actively engage in myth making because, you know, I have all of these internal documents that I write about in the book where they are very keenly aware of how to bring the public along with them by showing them dazzling demonstrations of the technology, by crafting a mission that will sound really good and make people give more leniency to their companies. So they know they're doing the myth making. And also, I think many of them lose themselves in the myth because they have to live and breathe and embody it day in and day out. And so when, you know, Dario says he thinks that 10 to 25% of the future could be catastrophic, or whatever the probability is, 10 to 25%. He is actively engaging in the myth making, but also he's losing himself in the myth. Like, I think if you were to ask him, do you genuinely believe that? He would be like, yes, I genuinely believe that. Because there's been a blurring of when he's saying something just to say something versus when he actually believes what he's required to believe in order to then continue doing the things that he's doing.
Okay.
Imagine being able to build an app.
Anybody got any feedback on that? Okay, so what I'm gonna do is go to my just my need to know information. This was one of the examples I was talking about. I was telling everybody about the Queen Elizabeth and that throne that's in the throne that's in Britain comes from the Ptolemies, the last dynasty that was in Great Britain. I mean, that was in England and that was in Israel, and they brought it from there to Great Britain, and that's the throne that they want to, when they build a temple, the throne that's in Great Britain, they want to take that back to Israel. Okay, check this out. Let me get it. There you go.
Time and again, it seems to be happening a lot more regularly these days, is statements or news about what King Charles is up to with regard to our faith, is the best way of putting it. What exactly is he a defender of? When you watch him go around to different events, when you watch him go around and give speeches to certain groups of people, you start to paint a picture in your mind about exactly where the guy's loyalties lie. In fact, there was a video that came out, I think yesterday, that's about 30 years old, and it's very revealing with regard to, you know, his point of view, his intentions. And what doesn't help is when you see headlines like this. It says, breaking, Buckingham Palace has confirmed King Charles will not issue an Easter message this year. Now, this is something that, you know, monarchy, the head of state has done since, you know, time of immortal. You know, it's always something that's happened without fail. And we've seen with King Charles, he is very much a proponent of another faith, apart from the one he should be the defender of. What you've got to understand is when he took the throne, there were various oaths that he took, one of which was the coronation oath. And there were some other bits and pieces as well. And it's very important to understand that he has to be of a certain religion to be able to be King of England, and that is Protestant. If it's found that he is any other religion or is taking action which is to the detriment of the Protestant faith, then what he's done is abdicated by something called deed. It's not, whatever. It's a sheer action or something he's done signals an abdication. Now, one that's done the rounds a fair bit is this one here. King Charles will not release an Easter message this year. Buckingham Palace has said it's not something the monarch does every year. No video message for Christians, but...
Check it out.
And you know what the but is?
As the Quran says, God does not burden any soul with more than it can bear. We hope that you have a blessed and fulfilling Ramadan. Peace be upon you all. Ramadan Mubarak. As a
So as you can see,
So this dude, and he's a king over, supposed to be the Protestants and the Christians and all that. He just renounced the Christianity, and he just lifted up Islam. Okay.
and if you look for a pattern, at least recently in the media, of the equivalence displayed towards, the faith he should be the defender of, is sadly lacking. And when he turns around and says, I'm not going to do this particular thing.
And now you see what's going on with the NBA and all that. Like I say, everybody's starting to throw Christianity all the way away. Okay.
This year, boom, they're all over it, and this has happened again. Now there's another tweet that's come out here, and that's this one, and this reads: Royal clown exposed. King Charles skips annual Easter message to Christians entirely, but bends the knee with a full Islamic video and prayers. Defender of the faith, this spineless traitor is defending Islam while ditching the Church of England. It's a complete mess.
Assalamu alaikum. Ramadan Mubarak. Ladies and gentlemen, as Muslims across the United Kingdom and the colony.
Just to point out, this is a bit of an older video because he was introduced as Prince Charles, but it's part of the narrative that's forming.
Begin preparations to celebrate Eid after fasting for the holy month of Ramadan. I just wanted to convey my heartfelt best wishes to all who celebrate this festival, and to tell you just how much my wife and I are thinking of you at this special time of year. This last year, I know, has been deeply challenging for us all, and I'm only too aware of the impact of the pandemic on the Muslim community. This year, so many families, like my own, will have an empty seat at their dinner table, and friends are no longer able to share the celebratory hug after Eid prayers.
What about everyone else that suffered during that time, huh? What about everyone else? Absolutely despicable. And, this is the reason why people are feeling the way they are, the reason people are talking the way they are. It's all the evidence, at least in the public domain, that's there for all to see. I mean, let's have a look at a little bit of reaction here. This is talk revealed. King Charles, I will protect all faiths, not just Christianity. His decision not to give us an Easter message, yet give the Muslim community an Eid one, is a profound mistake.
It's very suspicious. I mean, he's had very historical speeches about his love for Islam. I've got no issue with that. But when it came to him being the defender of the faith, we know within leaked news reports that actually there were talks about him potentially being the defender of all faiths.
Well, he's very keen. He's very keen for that. He made it one of the tenets of his new sovereignty. Can I be the monarch of all faiths? No, you can't. No, you can't.
You can't.
This is what he said last year. This is what he said last year when he did send us an Easter message on Maundy Thursday. He said, on Maundy Thursday, Jesus knelt and washed the feet of many of those who would abandon him. His humble action was a token of his love that knew no bounds or boundaries and is central to Christian belief. So far, so good. Then he said the love he showed when he walked the earth reflected the Jewish ethic of caring for the stranger and those in need of deep human instinct, echoed in Islam and other religious traditions, and in the hearts of all of those who seek the good of others. Well, it just seems like this guy doesn't want to talk about Christianity unless he can bring in other religions. I think, given that this is this nation, the people of this nation, we are in a perilous state. People are worried, very worried, and quite rightly so. And I think his decision not to give us an Easter message on this of all years is a profound mistake.
If you look at what's going on in the world, particularly at the moment, there are certain people within, our society, our country, that may want the reassurance from the king, and they're just not getting it. That's really something very massive, isn't it? And if you look at all of the pattern of behaviour, if you look at all of the narratives surrounding it, it does paint a really bad picture, a very, very bad picture. And again, if you look at the constitutional documents like the coronation oath and things like that, it does raise an eyebrow, particularly if you're interested in researching that kind of thing. Now, here is another tweet.
So check this out.
Here, this is the greatest betrayal in English history. Godfrey Bloom on the monarchy. King Charles just proved he's Britain's Muslim king on Easter Sunday. No message for Christ, zero defence of the faith he swore to protect.
Check it out.
So let's see what Godfrey has to say.
Well, greetings, Your Majesty. I'm a dyed-in-the-wool monarchist, as was my father, and my father before him. We've held your mother's commission and your grandfather's commission in military service, and we listened patiently to your support for Islam through Ramadan. But I remind you, you are head of the Church of England, and that is a very critical role for you, which you don't seem to understand. I'm not sure whether you're fully mentoring well or not. If you're not, I wish you well. But it seems to me you have no real deep Christian faith, and neither does your son. Presumably you had a hand of bringing him up. This is a very important constitutional role as a Christian. And it now seems you're not going to give an Easter message, which I think confirms what many of your subjects have believed for some time, that you have somehow embraced the Islam faith. And that's not a problem as far as I'm concerned. I'm a libertarian. You must embrace whatever faith you think appropriate, but not as king. Not as king. You must abdicate. And I would suggest similarly that your son must not take the throne, because it seems to me you do not understand what your role seriously is. You're one of the richest men in the world, and you have a reputation, I could possibly comment on it, of being one of the meanest. What I would suggest to you is that you abdicate and get gone. Get thee gone. You are of no use to this country whatsoever. You have failed in every conceivable way in a relatively short period of time on the throne. In the name of God, go.
Okay, what you think? Anybody know anything about that? Comment.
Shalom, shalom, sir. Shalom, everyone. No, I haven't heard of it, but right there, he's really challenging him. And I thought everyone bows down to the king and don't outburst or whatever. But he just blatantly telling him he needs to be gone.
Believe me, that's all of Europe. All of Europe feel that way, because that's a system that's been put in place. He's supposed to be over Christianity, and like I said, globally, it's going away, and that's what this is about. These people behind the scenes, this Esau, hand to Esau, and powers that be trying to bring it back. That's what that NBA thing and all that's all about. They're trying to shine another light back on JC when he's fading. Like you say, anything that goes up gonna come back down. Now it's on its way down. Now they're trying to revive it.
Shalom. And as they say, if you speak a name long enough or loud enough, it brings it into existence. So they want it, and now that they're not doing it, like you said, it started with COVID when people were not allowed to go back to church, and then they started staying home, and then getting aware of what's really going on, and they have to bring that name back. He's fading out, like you said, but if they
Right.
bring the name back, they could perhaps, in their mindset, that he would be
They're trying to
no
revive
longer.
it, but
Yes, sir.
prophecy is taking place. That's what's happening. Anybody else got anything? Comments?
Shalom, brother Leonard. Just even to that point, even stuff like Putin, would you say like with Putin opening up the vaults and showing that us Hebrews that we are black, you
Right.
know, saying JC black, that's still throwing us off because there
Right.
just ain't no JC, you know what I'm saying?
Right, because it's slowing everybody up. When normally you would totally not deal with none of that ideology, but they holding you there by saying that, oh yeah, he is black, and the Ethiopian Bible and all that. All that's another hook. That's all it is. And so it's really going to the whole concept and the Christianity and all this is actually going to the dogs. And so this what you see them doing, they trying to revive it. And like I was saying before, there's so many things that you can now see because of they more and more their plans coming out. Okay. For example, like I'm not gonna go there right now, but anybody else got anything else? I'm gonna expound on what I was just talking about and the reason why I'm playing these videos. So anybody else got anything on any other comments or questions or any dialogue anything they want to talk about? Anything came up they want to talk about? Okay.
Shalom, Brother Leonard.
Okay.
Shalom, everyone. Earlier in the towards the end of the week, I think it was Men's Advanced Bible Study. In the book of Susanna, Susanna's father, is that the same as Jeremiah's father? They have the same name, the prophet Jeremiah?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Got to look at it, check it out, but no, I don't think they're the same father.
Okay.
And then it's more than one Jeremiah, too. Yeah, more than one Jeremiah. So yeah. Anybody else got anything? Comments, questions, anything? Dialogue?
Shalom, brother Leonard. In that video you were playing the other day, kind of about Turkey when he was breaking down about Ezekiel 38.
Yeah.
If you might be going there, I don't know if you was, but just they roll, because he was saying right that Turkey was the prince of Meshach. I think it's what he was saying, right? And that's what versus people always talk about who Gog and Magog are, but people don't know who that prince, that chief prince of them was, right?
Right, exactly. And like I was saying, just like people not they coming around, but the suffering servant is not no one person. It's a group of people. So when you start talking about the whore, it's a group of people. It's the nation of Israel. And the same thing with this prince, the chief prince of what? It's a bunch of nations that came from Cain. When the serpent slept with Eve, he got Cain got a bunch of kids. That's who that is in Japhet is. They came through the flood. So this prince, chief prince, is the main, just like Amalek. Amalek is the chief prince of Edom. It's a race of people. The Most High sent Saul to kill all of them, not one man. And so it's the same thing with the chief prince. It's like the guy said, they over there in Anatolia, and Turkey is part of those people. So then you say, like I've been saying, they didn't hoodwink the scriptures and got their own end times. But within that is the Most High of prophecies unfolding. So we see them, they got everybody in an uproar about Iran and all that. But what are they telling us? They're telling us that there's two problems over there that Israel has right now on what they're trying to do. Iran and Turkey. You see what I mean? So the actual prophecy that what the Most High doing is the guy telling you they're in Turkey. So whatever they're doing with Iran, they still got to deal with Turkey, which is bringing you right to the Most High prophecy. And then the guy mentioned Ethiopia. Well, look what they're doing with Ethiopia. And like I said, so many people falling for it because they're not following the right narrative. But once you start to see the narrative, look what they're doing. Like I said, it's no difference in the black or the white Jesus. Both of them were Esau and the powers of be concocted it. Concocted him, whether he's black or white. If you throw the white one away, you gotta throw the black one away. But they playing on people's ignorance. Same way with the end times, with what's unfolding in the end times. Okay. Yeah. So here we go. Check this out. Just tied to what I was just saying. Okay. Let me play this. And they really landed on us now because of with AI and all that. They really laying on because they really pouring the lies on now.
Final war, the nuclear bomb was the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. So Trump needs to crash the price of oil.
So this guy is telling you that whole setup over there was started on the 28th of February is all scheme, smoke and mirrors.
And we're going through massive market manipulation right now in order to get to a scenario where the only choice is to do a deal. I believe that the negotiations that we're allegedly on, off, and everyone's debating right now have already been a 5-year negotiation. But you want to put it in its most simplest form, a negotiation between China, BlackRock, and JP Morgan. That's what I think this war is. We are categorically going through a global reset.
What exactly is going on in the Iran conflict? Now, there has been a ton of changes, Simon, since last time we spoke about 2 weeks ago. Things seem to have escalated, but then they've kind of backed off. The markets are going crazy. So, Simon, last time you laid out this idea that what we're witnessing is it's not Israel and the US versus Iran. This is the financial industrial complex versus the military industrial complex. That we're seeing basically the transnational capital using the US military to kind of go in and get rid of the IRGC hardliners, kind of strategically weaken Israel, as well as get the US bases out of the region to kind of set up the Gulf Coast area to actually be open up to markets, to actually maybe get some stability in that region of the world.
So in the process, I'm gonna lay this out. So I've talked about it over and over again about the Greater Israel, Pax Judaica, what they bringing into play. Well, attached to Pax Judaica is the Project 2025, where they got all these Christian nationalists on the scene. Well, guess what? They got a Greater America project. That's what Trump is talking about when he's talking about Greenland and what the issue he got with Canada. They trying to bring all that together and bring Israel on point too. That's what you're looking at under the guise of Christianity and all this other stuff going on, smoke and mirrors. But they bringing in this system they want. They want Israel over the whole Middle East, and they want like I say, it's a harlot and it's a beast. So they want to extend the beast, which is I'm gonna show you. It ain't nothing but a handmade story. They put it right in our face. But let me finish playing this
as well too. And you'd also pinpointed it was the April summit, the April China summit, that we might even see the basically proposal of what the things are going to look like going forward at that point in time. So there's a ton of information compressed in there. Can you give us a little bit, if I've missed anything in terms of the framework, please correct me there and give me an update. Where are we? What do you see going on right now with the Iran conflict?
I believe that the negotiations that we're allegedly on off, and everyone's debating right now that are manipulating the markets like crazy, have already been a 5-year negotiation between China, which is effectively the rising power, and America that is being shrunk into a regional power and going through an asset stripping exercise by what I call the financial industrial complex. Now, in order to achieve that, you have the old world order, which is represented by the US being the military industrial complex.
Now go with Charles said. All of a sudden now he trying to blow up Islam because of what they doing, where they headed.
Now they benefited from strategic tension and forever wars in the Middle East because they were able to print money and then send it over to come back and purchase weapons. And then you could use that to create the demand for dollars through the petrodollar. And then you would continually have that money being lent back into the bond market. That order is effectively over. And so there is a financial operation and a legacy military that still wants to hold on to their version of the world. That's represented by Israel. That's represented by a model of always having and funding militias across the region. And that's represented by strategic tension between Iran and Israel. Once you remove death to America, death to Israel, the need for Israel diminishes, and Israel has an identity crisis because they were always creating the justification for war. And so this is effectively a war to end that narrative, is what I think is happening here. But at the same time, we are categorically going through a global reset. I'll just jump into that right now because effectively the nuclear bomb was the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. That has directly led to the renegotiation of 50 of the most important energy, minerals, food components, and every single one of those is being renegotiated and giving winners and losers as a result of it. And that is a global reset. Right now, if the Strait of Hormuz opened today, it would take probably a month to get through the 3,500 ships that are just sat there trying to figure out what to do. The damaged infrastructure was probably 5 months of damage, but if it escalates to the next stage, Qatar has already come out and said 5 years of damage to bring that back on tap. And so what we have effectively done is we have reset the world order to make Europe and the Western Hemisphere dependent upon American liquefied natural gas and oil. And at the same time, draw Asia and Russia closer through these energy bailouts right now. There is only 2 ways in which this goes. And I believe that if we are still in the old world order and the military industrial complex is still trying to prop up the dollar and the petrodollar, then what would happen next is you'd have 600,000 troops invading Iran. It would take years. They would take over the oil fields and they would rip open, this oil in Iran is all going to be priced in dollar, and the Strait of Hormuz is going to be controlled by BlackRock and other financial powers. That's impossible. It's not going to happen. And so therefore, the only other alternative is that you actually end up in a deal that effectively vassalizes Iran deeper into China. And this financial industrial complex, they try to get a foothold across the Middle East, but they commit to a regional stability model rather than the forever war. So effectively, it ends the forever war. And we're going through massive market manipulation right now in order to get to a scenario where the only choice is to do a deal. Iran right now holds the key to the price of oil. And who is Iran? Iran effectively is an economic dependent upon China right now. And so Iran is selling 90% of its oil to China. The Strait of Hormuz is open to China. At the moment, if China is involved in a big negotiation, it is a relationship between Iran and China right now that has maximum leverage. So Trump needs to crash the price of oil. Otherwise, things are going to start breaking. And we can look.
I just don't see how you crash the price of oil today. That just seems to me the price of oil has been hanging on by its nails, not to go up, not down.
Yeah, but there is only one way to crash the price of oil. It's to reach a deal with Iran. And to reach a deal with Iran, you are negotiating with a greater power, which is China. And in April, they're due to meet, but that meeting may or may not be delayed. We don't know what to trust anymore. But to me, this is the final war, the reset of all 50, oil and LNG and different fertilizers and minerals. All of those are being renegotiated right now to move to this world of multipolarity. And I don't think Trump's trying to save the dollar. I think he's an agent of chaos.
Exactly.
That is effectively going to have to reach a deal. Though if you look, firstly, China knew all this was going to happen. They were prepared for it. They built the largest oil reserves. They were preparing this for a long, long time. There is not much of a petrodollar anymore. There is a petro-yuan on the Chinese side. But the petrodollar, everything's being priced in dollars. And the vast majority of the world is settling in dollars, but they're not buying treasuries with those dollars because now they're buying gold and they're buying US equities. And so if you look, what was the growth? What was the AI trade? It relied upon two sources of funding. One was the private credit market, by the financial industrial complex, basically lending by putting together these packaged products. Those are the ones that are blowing up right now and getting mass withdrawals. But it was also transnational capital. It was Gulf sovereign foreign direct investment. And so they were buying up the AI infrastructure, doing deals with NVIDIA and saying, you build the data centers here, we'll plug our energy in. And so effectively, America was being asset stripped of all of its innovation. They weren't buying the treasuries, they were buying gold instead. And as the dollar started weakening, they needed to protect the peg. How are they going to protect the peg? Well, they had to just sell their treasuries, and they're not going to sell their gold.
I like pointing people to when they ask about Bitcoin mining is Abundant Mines. They were founded by Bo and Christine at mines.com/
into the GCC, while Iran is effectively vassalized into China. And then Trump is negotiating for the financial industrial complex.
But Israel's not going to sign off on this plan. Whoever's right, this is going to be over Israel's dead body, right?
Well, now the project is over because I believe that the financial industrial complex, which is the Gulf Sovereign Wealth Funds, now have leverage, and they're able to say, okay, China's got this game with Iran. We've got this game with the Western banks and BlackRock. Now we're in a situation where we demand regional stability.
Okay, so the name of this is 100% a fake war. So if you want to watch it, but any feedback on that? Is there anything he's saying make any sense?
Shalom, Brother Leonard. Yes, sir. When he speaks about Trump not gonna save the dollar, he just an agent of chaos.
Right. That's all part of Project 2025. That's what it's about, bringing this place down. And they got everybody thinking that, telling them make America great again, but he's the agent of chaos. That's why he on the scene. He bringing this place down. But like I was saying, you got a tied to Project 2025, you got a greater Israel plan, but at the same time, you got a greater Israel plan, a greater America plan. Okay, so let me play this right here. Like the guy, like I was saying, it was put right in our face, and we was always talking about it, but it was put right in our face with Handmaid. Here we go. Check it out.
YouTube Premium is ad-free.
Okay.
Man, I ain't gonna lie. I've been waiting for this brother to do a breakdown on this. Oh my goodness. If you guys have not seen The Handmaid's Tale, just warn you, it gets pretty crazy, man. I am literally caught up from the first season to where it ended at. Man. It's pretty scary, to be honest, when you think about like everything that took place with these people in the position of power and what they were doing. And so we're back on the Truth Is channel. Again, the original will be in the description, but it says, The Handmaid's Tale told us this was coming.
Check it out.
I'm gonna hype this video. We ain't gonna waste no more time. Let's jump right into it.
In this world, the United States is gone. It is controlled by a religious extremist group called the Sons of Jacob. After
That's Hepsek and all in. Okay.
environmental collapse and a severe population decline, they overthrew the government and established a total dictatorship. It's a system where the elites hold all the power and everyone else is reduced to a servant. While this is the plot of the TV show The Handmaid's Tale, nowadays it feels like a future we may actually see. Today, we are decoding The Handmaid's Tale to uncover what it's really telling us about our own world.
I was asleep before. That's how it happened. We didn't wake up. Then they blamed terrorists, suspended the Constitution. Wake up then either. They said it would be temporary. Nothing changes instantaneously.
The Handmaid's Tale follows the story of June, who is one of the few fertile women left in a world facing a massive biological and environmental crisis. Because of her ability to conceive, she was systematically sought after and captured by a group known as the Sons of Jacob. This crisis left the vast majority of the population unable to have children, which gave this extremist group the perfect leverage they needed to seize control and dismantle the old world. The Sons of Jacob didn't just take over the government, they completely restructured society into a hierarchy of survival. They rounded up every fertile
Heritage Foundation. Okay.
woman they can locate and forced them into the role of a handmaid. These women were essentially turned into state-owned surrogate mothers specifically for the high-ranking elites who were desperate to pass on their legacy. Their ultimate goal was to repopulate the world, but only with the offspring of those at the very top of this.
Only with the offspring of those at the top. They did. Go to Hitler. Okay.
New social system. June was forced into this life after she was caught trying to escape what used to be the United States. She was assigned to a high-ranking member of the elite, a man named Fred, where her only legal purpose was to provide him with an heir. This meant that every month she was forced to participate in what the system calls the ceremony. This is a mandatory fertility ritual that every handmaid is required to undergo if they're assigned person. While she was trapped in this system, June quickly realized a terrifying truth. While a successful pregnancy was never a guarantee, the consequences for failing to produce a child were absolute. This was a system built entirely on fear and total reproductive control. At first glance, this level of societal collapse sounds like an unbelievable nightmare.
And it's crazy too, because like you had, I forget what they're called, but all the wives in the green who would be there in the room too, kind of participating as this was taking place. Like, I was talking to my wife probably like last month, because she hasn't seen this show. And I had to explain to her what's going on. And I was like, look, I don't know, man, but if we're headed down this path, they're going to take me out.
But when you look at the trajectory of our world today and the way certain systems are shifting, you have to ask yourself if a world like this is actually possible. When you begin to realize that The Handmaid's Tale isn't just a piece of fiction, but a calculated look at how power structures can shift during a global crisis, you start to see that we might be closer to this reality than anyone is willing to admit. The first step in any total societal shift is a crisis that people cannot solve on their own. In The Handmaid's Tale, this was the combination of environmental degradation and a catastrophic drop in fertility. We are told that the world became toxic, filled with colonies of radioactive waste, and that birth rates fell so low that the human race was literally facing extinction. When you look at our world today, the parallels are hard to ignore. We aren't seeing a sudden drop to zero, but we are seeing a steady global decline in fertility rates. Scientists point to microplastics, chemical pollutants in our food supply, and the stress of modern life as primary factors.
We encounter microplastics everywhere in the environment, our food, and our own bodies. Scientists are still looking into exactly how microplastics affect men and women, but experts are now calling for action after plastic additives have been linked to male infertility. Dr. Pardes Kavusi, reproductive urologist at St. David's Austin Medical Center, joins us now to discuss this. Welcome, Dr. Kavusi. I appreciate your time again. So last year, scientists discovered that microplastics exposure affects sperm count. And earlier this month, experts are calling for action. Tell us why this is so alarming.
Yes, what we're actually seeing is a significant decrease in fertility of men over decades, over about the last 50 years. So from 1970s until 2000, we see a steady average drop of sperm counts by about 1% a year. And then more alarming, from 2000 to now, we're seeing greater than a 2%.
That's by design. It ain't just happening. They manipulate.
That drop a year in sperm counts. So the population, men are getting less fertile. So we're all trying to do work to figure out why that's happening. And obviously there are some other contributing factors, sedentary lifestyles, obesity, waiting longer, but this is really investigating the effect of some external factors in these plastics. And so we see that there are two major additives that are added to plastics that are having a really adverse effect on male fertility. One is the phthalates and the other is bisphenols.
In the show, the sons of Jacob didn't just try to clean up the planet. They used the panic of extinction to justify the removal of all individual rights. They framed it as a sacrifice for the greater good. While this seems like it would never happen in our world, look at how modern emergencies are handled. Whether it is a health crisis or an environmental one, the playbook is the same. Create a state of high-level fear, present a solution that requires a suppression of normal laws, and then make those temporary changes permanent. The sons of Jacob didn't take over instantly. They waited for a moment of maximum fear to offer a new world that promised safety in exchange for total compliance. And the people surrendered instantly. One of the most chilling moments in the story is how the sons of Jacob actually seized power. It wasn't just through the power of the military force. It was through the removal of individual rights. In the series, women suddenly found their bank accounts frozen. Their Compu cards stopped working, and in an instant, they were financially erased and became entirely dependent on the men in their lives or the state.
Attention, please. Ladies, you should all know that I feel really sorry about this. This is my decision. I don't have a choice. I have to let you go. I have to let you all go.
Wait, we're being fired?
No, not fired. No, let go.
What does that even mean?
Can't work here anymore. It's the law now.
This is perhaps the most accurate blueprint in the entire show. We are currently moving towards a world of central banking digital currencies and a cashless society. While this is marketed as a matter of convenience, The Handmaid's Tale shows us the dark side of that convenience, total traceability, and total control. If the system can track every cent you spend, it could also decide where you're allowed to spend it. If you are deemed a threat to the social order, or if you simply don't fit the new Sons of Jacob ideology, your ability to participate in society can be turned off remotely. This isn't just fiction. We see versions of this in social credit systems appearing in different parts of the world today. This show tells us that once your financial independence is gone, your physical independence follows shortly after. In the show's world, there is a clear, rigid hierarchy. At the top are the commanders, the elites who design the system. Below them are the eyes, the secret police who ensure consistent
ICE, secret police, ICE.
surveillance. Then you have the ants, the guardians, and finally the handmaids and the Marthas. The truth about this hierarchy is that it is designed to keep everyone afraid of the person just above them and suspicious of the person just below them. This is how a small group of elites can control a massive population. If everyone is busy watching.
Okay. Any comments on that? You want to watch all that It's the Handmaid's Tale told us this was coming. So you want to watch it. But anybody got any feedback?
Yes, sir. I don't know how many weeks or months ago that you were talking about Handmaids, and I had asked about where to watch it. So I have, I think I've seen all of everything that was produced of that actual show, not the movie. It's very interesting because earlier this year, and I'm sorry if everyone does know this, but the Heritage Foundation, it's a part of Project 2025, but they took the time earlier in January to push it. There was even a protest in March, but it's basically about saving American lives. And I remember before this year, I watched a video from a lady who works with the Heritage Foundation. And she went on this rant about how working and being a mother is a blessing, and it gives her free time to spend with her children, and the Heritage Foundation is a great place to work. But it was weird what she was talking about. So basically, as you've been saying, we're headed that way. It's a 250-year plan to get rid of Medicaid, Medicare, before the plan starts, to get rid of Medicaid, Medicare, and all welfare. They say that so that they can bring fathers back into the home and stop having children out of wedlock. And I think we all know that was the plan when all those things started, welfare, but they did not perceive that it would have so many non-melanated people also within that plan. So it's failed them. It was only made, in my opinion, to tear us apart. If you got melanin, go on welfare, don't have your daddy in your house. We've talked about this before, about how benefits have been decreased, but we now see it's not just the melanated people, and it's more of non-melanated people that need those benefits. But yeah, Project 2025 is a part of that. The Heritage Foundation pushed it further in January to talk about it. There was a protest in March about how people did not want, what they're trying to do is push women out of working completely so that they can be home with one male and have babies as much as possible. And it seems like they're unaware of how affected their own population that they want to grow is by these phthalates and plastics and things like that, because they're not as fertile as they would like them to be. So that's interesting that you played that. Shalom.
Okay. Anybody else got anything?
Yes, shalom, everyone. Brother Leonard, when you look at the story of The Handmaid's Tale, you see a lot of what's taking place today, which we don't understand has always been in effect. They release things when they are ready to release it to us, right? So when you look at that, The Handmaid's Tale happens after a civil war, right? They take these women into slavery basically and call them handmaids, right? And submit them to sort of what do you call a ritualized sexual assault, I'm gonna say, right? And it's referred to as the ceremony. That's what the elites called it.
Right.
And so they are sleeping with basically the male masters.
Yeah, white males.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Because it's their race that's in trouble, not ours.
Exactly.
So you gotta look at that. Yes. Yes. And then, sir.
No, just saying Christianity fading, like I started out with. That's what it became. They knew they had to come up with some kind of plan because Christianity and all that their faith was fading. Where it's at right now, that's where the takeover came in at. That's where our Project 2025 came in at. Yeah, go ahead.
Right, exactly. And I was saying, then when you continue to watch the story as it unfolds, right? There's a society that's grouped into classes that basically dictates their freedom and their duties.
Right.
So you got the women that was divided into a social category, right? And each
Right,
one of the whatever color dress they wore signified which class they were in.
right. The status.
Right. And they had all the handmaid's tales that was dressed what in those long red dresses with
Right,
the red cloak and the wide white hat on, the bonnets, so that they were not able to, basically look from side to side. They was when they walked and they were out, they were supposed to be looking straight ahead.
right,
That's what they had to wear when they went outside, and they always went with a I'm gonna say like a buddy.
right. Exactly.
So the story tells a lot. Then they got a sequence coming to that's called Testament, Handmaid's Tale,
Right, exactly.
that's gonna be coming out sometime coming up this week. I think April the 6th or 8th. I can't remember what it said, but it's called Testament,
Right,
Handmaid's Tale.
right. It's just a extension of the Handmaid's Tale. They obligated to tell it to tell us what's going on, but we got to be able to write it about it.
Right, exactly.
That's all that is.
Exactly.
They just want to show what they showed us in Handmaid's Tale. They finna show what they getting ready to do further with the Testament.
With the Testament. Yes, sir. Exactly. And I know when we watch movies and we watch things like this, you always say there's a lot in these movies that tells us a lot about what's going on in the world that we always seem to ignore.
Exactly.
It's always telling you what's going on in the world. They didn't just make the New Testament last month. They've been working on this movie.
Yeah, exactly. I already had it set up, just like Obama with his two movies. They had them set up. It's just not a coincidence they came out when they came out.
Right.
It's
Right.
all programmed, plotted and programmed. Yeah.
And
And
then what?
even go ahead.
No, sir, I'm excited about this, and I'm excited about seeing the new movie because I know it's going to tell something, right? So
Right.
you got to look at also the names that they use, Brother Leonard. They here they are using sons of Jacob. They
Right.
choose the righteous men and use their name in vain. We got to look at all of that.
Right.
That's what it's all about. They steady trying to degrade us also.
Right. And that's what happened when Great Britain. I was talking about Queen Charles and Great Britain, where Esau invaded the British Isles. Okay, so you say, what are you talking about? Isaac's sons. Same thing with this. The same people. The
Yes, sir.
Saxons. The
Right.
Saxons. Isaac's sons. Everybody wants to. Nobody understand what that Saxon means. Them Edomites. That's the harlot.
Right.
When they finally was kicked out of the land of Israel, and then they was kicked out of Spain, they came and they invaded the Saxons. Go do the research on the story. They was invaders, came to the British Isles, the Saxons, Isaac's sons. And they had it again right here with this. Sons of Jacob.
Wow.
Ain't that something?
Yeah, it is. There's so much in there and so much wickedness also in that. Because like I said, as these men were ritualizing these women, I shall say, the wives was in the room. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And throughout the movies, when we watch movies, Rome, Greek and all, that's what they did.
Exactly. And then it's a twisted version of our culture.
Right.
You don't see that in our culture, but they supposedly pattern themselves behind us. But it's a twisted version of it.
Right. And it doesn't
Right.
matter if you were single or unmarried or a lesbian or whatever, you
Right.
you was turned into whatever they wanted to turn you into.
Right. And like I was saying, once you start zeroing in on this information, so they look at everything they said on what he just showed you, how they fired all the women. Look what they just done. with the AI and all that. They did the exact same thing.
Mhm.
But the crazy part about it is you got to look at. They say it was a scarcity of women by the time they got to. So where do these people go? They got a war over there. They setting up right now talking about a ground war. What they gonna do with the people? Make them go into they didn't raise the age up to 42. So they're gonna do the same thing they did over there in Russia, Ukraine. They finna send all them people over there. They got a war going on, cannon fodder. That's how they gonna get rid of a lot of them. That's their objective. Because they can't stay here. He just told you if they all stay here and been fired, they mad. A civil war gonna break out. We already see that with the No Kings protests.
Right.
So they gotta find some kind of way to get rid of all them people. Well, they got a killing ground they setting up over there right now, over in Iran.
Yes, sir. He ain't playing.
Yeah. Exactly. So with that being said, anybody else got anything on that? We're probably gonna have to put off our reading.
Is there two areas? Excuse me. Are there two versions of The Handmaid's Tale? There's one on Hulu. It's talking about it's different from the TV program. Is that the one we're looking from Hulu, or is it on another network?
Yeah, it's only one. It's only one version, right?
Shalom. The one on Hulu is the series. That's on Hulu is the right one. Yeah, there's also a movie. If you was to see that, there's a movie from like the 70s, but the series is on Hulu.
Right. And that's where the testament is going to be on also, Sister Cheryl. Following up behind The Handmaid's Tales, there's one called The New Testaments. It's going to be on Hulu also.
Right. They're getting ready to bring it out. Exactly. Yeah.
Shalom.
Okay.
I just wanted to comment the things you guys were bringing up while talking, that I was very disgusted to keep hearing the sons of Jacob. Like I really wish they would find any other name, but that bothered me to the utmost. And I did notice, like you said, Sister Michelle, how it was anybody and everybody. Like you said, it didn't matter if you were professing to hate men and be a lesbian, and it didn't matter what you looked like. They needed their seed to prosper.
Right, and then like I said, how they do the double talk. They saying that they following they saying they following their lineage to the woman, but look what you're doing.
Right.
You're going by our principles.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? But you got these Negroes, like I say, it's shameful. Because these Negroes, they're going along with that narrative, but you looking like a damn fool because everything they're doing, you don't have the proper information, and so you instead of going right along with the narrative, you can't even see what they're doing. That's crazy.
So, Brother Leonard, the testament comes out on April the 8th on Hulu and Hulu on Disney Plus. And it says a new episode will then drop weekly until the season finale on May the 27th. So April the 8th is when the testaments come out.
That's Wednesday.
Yep. This week. Yes, sir.
So that should be for everybody's assignment right there. Okay. You know what I'm saying? You need to watch that because we're going to definitely talk about it. So, yeah. Anybody else got anything on that? On this, what we talking about? Feedback?
Oh, shalom. And Brother, I wanted to add too with The Handmaid's Tale. Another thing I caught on there in the early seasons of it was that right now they got Mexico has a woman president, and on the series they had a woman president, and because they brought her over there to see the process and to see was it working, were the women conceiving and things like that. So I thought that was interesting. On top of that, made me Google what the birth rate was like amongst that people group, and it's lower than it's ever been before. So yeah, so it lines up with why they would be looking into doing something like that, especially in the future after that civil war happens here soon and all of that stuff.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I was talking about how I'm always talking about the Pax Judaica, the Greater Israel, right? And like I was saying, when they start coming out with stuff, being that way, if you zeroed in, you can connect dots. So right here, we always talking about the Greater Israel, but check out this here, this greater
part out loud, and
greater America.
it really lets you into
Check it
what
out.
their evil, dark plans are. And here we have Secretary of War Crimes Pete Kegsbreth.
Right.
He is giving a speech here, and this isn't even subtle. You don't even have to read between the lines.
And he looked just like the dudes on Handmaid. Come on,
He's
check it
just
out.
laying it all out there. What's actually going on with our foreign policy these days? Listen to this.
That is why President Trump has drawn a new strategic map
Check it out.
from Greenland to the Gulf of America to the Panama Canal and its surrounding countries. At the Department of War, we call this strategic map the Greater North America.
Okay, is that not the Handmaid? Is that not the Handmaid's Tale? Let's include Canada included.
Right.
There go the Handmaid's Tale right there. Come on.
Why? Because every sovereign nation and territory north of the equator, from Greenland to Ecuador and from Alaska to Guyana, is not part of the global south. It is a security perimeter in this great neighborhood that we all live in.
By the way, that's their video feed, not yours or mine, just so you know.
Each one of these countries border either the North Atlantic or the North Pacific. Each one of these countries sits north of the two basic geographic barriers that exist in this region, the Amazon and Andes Mountains. This is basic geography.
So do you guys understand what he's saying here?
No.
He literally said, no, this is now we have the Greater North America Project, the Greater America. A new strategic map from Greenland to the Gulf of America, claiming that all of those sovereign nations north of the equator are part of America's security perimeter. This is exactly like Israel's plan for a greater Israel.
Ain't that something?
And what does that mean? It means stealing all of Gaza, stealing all the West Bank, genocide and ethnic cleansing,
Right.
stealing.
That's what Project 2025 is implementing. All of this.
Lebanon, stealing parts of Syria, basically reimagining the entire Middle East map and infringing on sovereign nations and stealing territory from them, redrawing the borders. Like it is a new imperialism and a new colonialism, and it's naked and it's out there right in front of us. And now you have the Secretary of War Crimes is coming out and admitting, like, yeah, that's what we're working on now. So understand something. It is not a coincidence or an accident or national self-defense when Trump goes out there and he bombs fishing boats from Venezuela. And he bombs boats from Trinidad and Tobago and Colombia, and then lies about it too, by the way. It's not a coincidence he did regime change in Venezuela, stole the oil, sold the oil, and put hundreds of millions of dollars in a private bank account of his in Qatar. Okay? Same guy bombed Yemen, Somalia, Nigeria, Ecuador, Iran. He threatened Greenland and Panama and Canada and Cuba and Mexico. So stop and think about that. Greenland is within this new sphere that they're talking about. Panama, same thing. Canada, same thing. Cuba, same thing. Mexico, same thing. It's not me.
So it's the movie. it's the movie. Negroes fumbling, but there it is right there. It's the movie. It's playing out right in front of our face. Okay. Anybody else got anything else on that? Okay, so with that being said, we're gonna pick a scripture. Somebody want to pick a scripture, and we'll read that scripture and we'll break it down. Okay, and then I'm gonna deal with that Isaiah 50:52 after we pick a scripture. Anybody got a scripture they want to read? Okay, if not, can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Daniel 11, verse 36. And the
Okay.
king shall do, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. And the king shall do accordingly to his will. He shall exalt himself a, and magnify himself above every God. That's a lowercase g. And shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished. For that is determined shall be done.
Okay, what you got from that?
I don't know which one, who they're talking about, this king.
That's Antioch Epiphanes. It's in First Maccabees.
Okay.
Like I said, it already happened. But when you go to any of these mega churches or these nut bucket pastors, evangelical pastors, they're gonna tell you that's the Antichrist. But it already didn't happen. It's Daniel. It's in the book of Daniel. Daniel prophesying what's getting ready to happen, what's gonna happen to Israel after they go back from Babylon. He says in 9:26, the prince that shall come, that's him. He caused the abomination of desolation. And he ran the Israelites out and they fled into Africa, but not in 70 AD. It's in 143 BC. When the Israelites left in 143 BC, Esau, the same harlot we're dealing with today, moved into the land of Israel. And so they the ones that was kicked out in 70 AD. And I was telling you, Isaac's sons. They ended up in Spain, and from there with the Nina Pina and Santa Marina, they came to America looking for, trying to run away from Ezekiel 35. Curses on, they got a set of curses on them in Ezekiel 35, like we got curses on us in Deuteronomy 28. So they ended up getting ran out of England. I mean, ran out of Spain and Portugal, and they fled. They came to the British Isles, America and the British Isles, and then took over. Like I said, posing as Israelites with the name Saxons. But you know, that's covered over. The average person, they can't get to that because they're too busy trying to make Jesus work in the story when he's not in the story. Okay. Anybody else got anything on that? Okay, yeah. So I had before I closed out, I was talking about Isaiah 52 and versus everybody trying to, you know, on all these different platforms trying to figure out who the suffering servant is, right? So I'm gonna go to Isaiah 52 right quick. I'm gonna read it again. I talked about this on Men's Line, but let me go here. There's a couple of verses I had to go back and walk them down. So Isaiah 52, verses 13, 14, and 15, gonna lead you up to Isaiah 53, which is what everybody talking about, suffering servant. They want to say that it's JC, and I differ. So 13, 14, 15 of Isaiah 52 says, behold, my servant shall deal prudently, and he shall be, this is suffering servant, he shall be exalted and extolled and be very high, as many were astonished at his vestage. And I talked about that, his garments. The priesthood, the Levites, was taken from them among the Israelites. The Lord took them from amongst them to be co-judges with him in the temple. So they got garments, and that's right here. Say, as many were astonished at his vestage was so more than any man, and his form more than the sons of men. It's because it's more than one of them. Then 15, so shall he sprinkle many nations. The kings shall shut their mouths at him, for that which had not been told them shall they see, and that which they had not heard shall they consider. And so, like I said, just like we were just talking about, the Antichrist already came with Antioch Epiphanes. This already didn't happen. When you look at Isaiah, he was in the captivity in Babylon. So he's telling you, when you understand that the Israel, the suffering servant Levites was taken along with all the vessels when Nebuchadnezzar came and destroyed the temple in Jerusalem. The Levites was taken with them to Babylon. That's why their garments marred in verse 14. That's why when you worrying about their garments. So I went to Numbers 18 to show you that what their role is. So let's get that right quick. Numbers 18, and it says, chapter 18, verses 1. And the Lord said, Lord of hosts, said unto Aaron, thou and thy sons and thy father's house with thee shall bear their iniquity. This is bear their iniquity right here, not JC. And shall bear the iniquity of the sanctuary. Thou and thy sons shall bear the iniquity of the priesthood. So priesthood, the Levites and the priest are the suffering servant. And thy brethren also of the tribe of Levi, the tribe that of thy father, bring thou with thee, that they may be joined unto thee and minister unto thee. But thou and thy sons with thee shall minister before the tabernacle of witness. That's what's in the temple. They minister to the Lord of hosts that's in the temple. So this is suffering servant right here, like I said, and these three verses in Isaiah 52, you can't get around it. No other person sprinkle. JC didn't sprinkle nobody. It's the priesthood, cardinal their roles in the temple. And during these feast days, they the ones do the sprinkling when it comes to the sin offering and all that. So for 70 years, they was in Babylon. Then he brought them back. That's what verse 15 is saying. So shall he sprinkle many nations, the kings that they came in contact with when they came back from Babylon. The kings shall shut their mouths at him, the priesthood and the Levites, that which they had not been told, because they don't know nothing about the Israel scriptures. Shall they see? They saw it when they came back and the temple was rebuilt, and that which they had not heard shall they consider. So this to be verse I was looking for right here. Let me get it. It's in Nehemiah. I was over there. It's a lot of meat in Ezra, but back in the day when I was dealing with this, it's Nehemiah and Ezra tied together, and I had to reconnect to that. So let me get it. So I'm in Nehemiah. Here we go. I'm thinking it's let me see, chapter 8. Okay, so they come back, and when you get to Nehemiah and Ezra, they was released from Babylon. Okay, that's the priesthood was taken to Babylon along with all the vessels. Okay, now here we go. I'm in chapter 8 of Nehemiah, and it started at verse 1. It says, and all the people gathered themselves together as one man in the streets that was before the water gate, and they spake unto Ezra the scribe to bring the book of the law. See that? Book of the law of Moses, which the Lord had commanded to Israel. And Ezra the high priest brought the law before the congregation, both of men and women, and all that could hear with understanding upon the first day of the 7th month. They back, right? Fulfilling 52 and 15. And he read therein before the streets that were before the water gate from the morning until midday, before the men and the women and those that could understand. And the ears of all the people were attentive unto the book of the law. I'm gonna read that again because the same thing happening right now. And he read therein before the street that was before the water gate from the morning until the midday, before the men and the women and those that could understand. They go to the dagger. Everybody ain't can understand. And the ears of all the people were attentive unto the book of the law. And Ezra the scribe, stood upon the pulpit of wood which they had made for the purpose, and besides him, here you go. He go to On in Isaiah 53 in Isaiah 53 verse 1. And Ezra, the scribe, stood upon the pulpit of wood which they had made for a purpose, and beside him, here go these names: Mathas, I can't say him, Shema, Ananiah, Uriah, Hilkiah, Messiah, whatever, on his right hand, and on his left hand, Peter, Mishael, and I can't say the name. All right, so that's the On. There's more than one of them. So what you think they got on? They garments. Okay, and Ezra opened the book in the sight of all the people, for he was above all the people. And when he opened it, all the people stood up. And Ezra blessed, check it out. And Ezra blessed the Lord, the great God. And all the people answered, Amen. And Amen was lifting up their hands, and they bowed their heads, and they worshiped the Lord with their faces to the ground. Then here you go. It's the On. And Jesiah, we know who this is, Jeshua. That's the high priest. I mean, the son of the high priest that he had identified in Haggai, right? Joshua, Benaiah, Shira, Jimiah, I can't say the Akar, Shabbat, Mishal, Kita, Azariah, Zobadiah, Hannah, the people, let's say, so the people, okay, Hannah, okay, and calls the people. So these Levites calls the people to understand the law, and the people stood in their places. So they read the book in the law of God distinctly, and gave the sense and caused them to understand the reading. See that? That's the purpose of the Levite. That's the purpose of the On. Okay, see that? And Nehemiah, which is the Tishite, and Ezra the priest, the scribe, and the Levites that took the people, said unto the people, this day is holy unto the Lord your God. Mourn not, nor weep, for all the people wept. Then they heard the words of the law. So go back again. We're going to see them in operation. Verse 9, Nehemiah, which is the Tishite, and Ezra the priest, Ezra the priest, the scribe, and the Levites that taught the people. See there? This the suffering servant right here. The Levites that taught the people said, see that? He working along with Ezra. Like I just read in Numbers 18. Says, the Levites taught the people and said unto all the people, this day is holy unto the Lord your God. Mourn not, nor weep, for all the people wept when they heard the words of the law. Then he said unto them, go your way, eat the fat, drink the sweet, and send portions unto them for whom nothing is prepared. For this day is holy unto our Lord. Neither be ye sorry, for the joy of the Lord is your sin. So the Levites stilled all the people. There they go again, doing their job. Suffering servant. So the Levites stilled all the people, saying, hold your peace, for the day is holy, neither be ye grieved. And all the people went their way to eat and to drink and to send portions and to make great merry, because they had understood the words that were declared unto them. See that? So there you go right there. I mean, so and you can't, if that ain't simple enough for you, it's something wrong. You can't get that. That's your suffering servant, not JC. Okay? Any comments or questions? Okay, so everybody good? Okay,
Yes, sir.
yeah, so I wanted to put the nail in the coffin from our men's line on Friday night to make it plain who the suffering servant is in Isaiah 52 and Isaiah 53. Okay, so with that being said, I want to say shalom to everybody. Shalom, shalom, and another shalom. I see y'all on Tuesday for our Tuesday night Tanakh and Bible and news briefing. Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom, everyone.
I highly recommend that you get this book and you read it because it's a must that you understand who God head is in the order that's in the Old Testament in Tanakh, because it's not the same as in the New Testament. And when you read this and you get an understanding, then the scriptures open up and then you begin to understand. So I highly recommend that you get this book. It's the Elohim of Israel, and it's a breakdown on the word Elohim and who the God of Israel is and the Godhead.